right, well, welcome to Backstage with Geoffrey Morrissey. I'm your host, Geoffrey Morrissey. I'm joined by Ben Jaffe and the Preservation Hall Jazz Band. Thank you so much for taking the time today. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you all.
Yeah, you guys roll deep. I also appreciate everyone being here, so that's it's great to see.
We all roll together.
Well, nice. You guys, it's a great set today. There's so many other great sets going on. Who are you looking forward to seeing?
Oh, I've been excited about getting to see Jonathan Baptiste.
Mm-hmm.
He's from New Orleans, and he's one of our brothers, and we've seen him, achieve so much, and he's such a beautiful soul. I'm really excited to see that at the end, to close out today with that. It's going to be really beautiful.
Oh, I can't wait too. And then, so you guys, I've been coming 3 years. I know that you guys are becoming much longer. How did this partnership sort of come about with Newport Folk Festival? What's the history of Pres Hall here?
Preservation Hall's been coming to the folk festival, dating back to the 60s.
Wow.
With my dad.
Oh.
My dad was playing with the band then. The band and Preservation Hall, my dad started a long relationship with George Wein very early on, just two birds of a feather, really. And, Preservation Hall started coming up to perform at the folk festival, and then there's some video of this online. The Preservation Hall band made it an appearance and performed at the 1970, I think, Jazz Festival and Folk Festival both, with Mahalia Jackson, and it was Louis Armstrong's 70th birthday. Yeah, so that's how special Newport is to us. It really runs deep. Very, very deep, yeah.
Well, and then, I can only imagine stepping into that history and taking over as a band leader. The history of the entire institution itself, but then you have all these other things like the events outside the hall, and it must come with quite a bit of excitement but pressure too.
It's a wonderful like expression of what we all grew up with in New Orleans, and it's very powerful. As you could see with our set, it's a movement. It's you're becoming part of something, and I've seen what that's done just in my lifetime. Newport was the idea for the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival, which is now one of the most important events in our calendar year.
Yeah.
And there's this long association, and whenever we're backstage and we're talking to each other, all of the musicians and George Wein and all of the people involved, Jay Sweet, we're all hugging each other, and we're talking about family. And in New Orleans, it comes very naturally to us because we are all family and we all live together. We're all from New Orleans. We all went to the same high schools. We all have the same musical references, cultural references. And then you come to a place like Newport where you have people from all over the country, all over the world coming together, and there's still this thread, this soulful DNA, and I hear that word a lot here, family.
Of course. One of my favorite parts of seeing y'all here, you hop in on so many of the different sets. What is it about sort of either the musicianship that y'all have or jazz's genre that lends itself so well to being able to just kind of hop in the middle and help some of these artists out with some of their songs?
Well, there is something very special about what we do. We speak a very special language, we speak music. And Charlie Gabriel always talks to me about a musical conversation, that's really beyond like genre. We're speaking on a spiritual level with music. And when you're able to learn the fundamentals of music as we were taught it in New Orleans, you are able to apply that really anywhere in the world. It's not just at Newport. We can go. It's happened to us when we've traveled overseas to Europe or Asia or Africa, wherever we go, or whenever bands come to New Orleans and we collaborate together, we're able to speak this language, and that's incredible, man. That's that's a big bridge to build, So when we when we collaborate with bands here at Newport, it's really an expression of like solidarity and unity and our ability and flexibility and being able to, you know, music's beyond genre. I think that that's something that we know, but it's something that, you know, is hard to digest. But, um, you know, it's there. I mean, at a certain point, like, yeah, there's Italian food, there's Japanese food, but it's all food,
Yeah.
you know. So same with music.
Well, and that's a great mindset to have, and that's something that I always hear in y'all's music is, you know, transcending genre, but also making sort of the genre of jazz more accessible to audiences that may not have heard it before. Or
Well, that we wanted to share with our audience what jazz is to us in New Orleans.
Mhm.
You know, jazz in New Orleans is a very special tradition, and it really its roots. To understand what we do, you know, and you go back and look at the roots of our music and the history of our music and culture. You understand that part of our tradition is like this participatory thing that happens. This thing that happens between you and the audience when there is no wall. It's kind of like a visiting church in New Orleans. There's no, you know, everybody's participating, and that's how we were raised in New Orleans. It's very different. It's very special. It's very special. Let me put it that way. It's just very special, and for us to be able to share that experience is precious. Yeah.
Of course, it's something that I did want to touch on. Y'all just signed to Sub Pop Records, is that correct?
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
so cool. What drew you all to Sub Pop?
We have a lot of friends who are on Sub Pop, and I know a lot of the people who are involved with Sub Pop. You know, one of the founders and his staff. They have this connection to New Orleans. Good friend of ours, the Afghan Wigs. You know, they're back and forth to New Orleans quite a bit, and so there's always been like a New Orleans Sub Pop kind of connection already. But when they heard us play and do what we're doing today, they connected to us in the way that they connected spiritually and musically to the early bands that they signed, you know, and that's like hard to understand until you actually experience it. But
Yeah.
to have like someone from Sub Pop say, "Wow, I haven't felt this since I saw Nirvana."
Wow.
That's a powerful thing. That means something, you know. Again, it's beyond genre. It doesn't have. It's just music that speaks to people's soul.
I don't want to keep you guys from the stages, so I'll make this my last question. Who are you listening to? Who's has your ear right now?
Who am I listening to these days?
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm listening to. Well, I mean, I listen to a lot of old music. I listen to a lot of West African, Congolese, and music from Kenya and Nigeria. I also, you know, I listen to Kamasi Washington and Shabaka Hutchings right now is really blowing me away. I mean, you can't deny like Jay-Z and Beyonce and Kendrick. They're, you know, it is like modern jazz, really, you know, like that movement, yeah. And you know, and Solange, I love like that whole movement, and Someday, you know, yeah, just there's so much great music out there, you know.
Speaking of great music, if you're not listening, Preservation Hall Jazz Band, definitely do that. Check them out on Spotify. Better yet, go to one of their shows. Ben, the band leader, has joined me today. Thank you so much, Ben.
Thank you. And I said Someday, but isn't it Moses Someday? And
yes.
Someday, Moses is like, you know, a really special cat. Bilal, I'm checking out Bilal a lot, you know. Robert Glasper, you know, there's a lot happening out there, you know, a lot of great music's happening out there. It's very exciting times.
Of course. Well, thanks again. Have a great festival.
Thank you.